Hello, this is Jack and Crystal here with Awkward Conversations and Dirty Secrets. This is episode number 6, I think. And tonight we're going to be talking about something really a little different than our normal podcast, but yet the same things about relationships. And we'll get in that here in just a second. As you heard right before our podcast started, we talked about Anchor. And Anchor is a program we use to put our podcast out to Spotify and Google and Apple and all the different places we have our podcast on. And if you go to anchor.fm/wings and relationships, I'm sorry I'm reading this off here, so I'll make sure I get it right. You can do a monthly contribution to us for 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99. So that will help us buy some microphones. That way that we can hear us better. Tonight we have no AC and it's a little later than usual, so it may be quieter if we don't have any dogs barking or anything crazy go on. But otherwise, it should be a much better audio this time than our previous times. It's a little getting fall, so sort of. Still hot summer, but fall compared to what normal is. And so we have that ability that don't have to run the AC full blast to keep cool while we're up here recording. Now, right here, I'm going to bring my wine up because we also like to talk about our drinking. We like to have a glass of wine when we're discussing things and having times that we sit together. How are you doing, baby?
Good. How are
you? I'm doing wonderful. And so we like to have a bottle of wine, a glass of wine. And if you go to Naked Wines, you get 6 bottles of Naked Wines for $34.99 and free shipping. You save $90. Get 6 bottles of Naked Wine for $39.99 and free shipping. You save $102. There's no subscription required. Hand-picked white, rose, and sparkling, Napa and Sonoma. Is that how I say it? Sonoma wineries. Vintages, not sold retail. It's a limited time offer. The great thing about it is being here with us. It's part of our affiliates. One of our, like I said, we make pennies on it. You don't pay any extra, but you do get a 50% off. $50 off code. So if you go to www.nakedwines.com/wings50 or www.nakedwines.com/wings100, you'll get $100 off your order. So both of those are great. If you're watching here on YouTube, I'll put all that descriptions below. But just remember nakedwines.com/wings50 or wings100, and you'll get a little bit of a discount on that. So it's pretty great if you like to have a glass of wine. And the great thing we're going to talk about tonight is sometimes when the conversations we're going to talk about tonight, you may need a glass of wine to sit down and talk about some of these things. So tonight we're going to talk about 18 signs your partner wants to leave. It's kind of a serious topic. At the same time, it's a much needed topic, and there's too many divorces nowadays, too many people not staying together, and giving up too easily sometimes when things kind of go awry or go bad. So we're going to talk about 18 signs that your partner wants to leave. And so I'm going to pass my little notepad over here to Crystal so she can read our notes.
Yes.
And so we stay on track, because otherwise, if you let me do it, we don't stay on track.
That's right. Oh, one quick note about the Naked Wines. I just wanted to say real quick, when we got these codes from our partner, I was kind of blown away by the price. For those of you that are big wine drinkers like we are, that's a really good price on wines. Bottles of wine are not that cheap, so
especially good wine.
Yes, good wine. So that's a pretty good deal. So check it out. Anyway, moving right along. Does your partner want to leave? So originally on our social media we had 15 signs, but as we have been writing this, I kind of predicted that we might have more than 15, and I was right. We did. We actually have 18. So this is going to be 18 signs that your partner might want to leave, and what you can do about that. So does your partner want to leave you? Has the thought ever crossed your mind? Does your partner want to leave? Are they happy? Are you happy? How do you know if they want to leave? That's kind of a big question may or may not be in your mind, but I think that comes across everyone's mind at some point in a lot of relationships. Is my partner happy? Would they maybe want to leave? How would you know? There's a lot of speculation about that. There's a lot of subtle signs that can be happening that you may not be aware of. So we're going to kind of jump into some of that and figure out what you may or may not be noticing. So, are they happy? Are you in tune with your partner? That's the biggest thing. If you don't know your partner's mannerisms and their kind of daily routine, what they're consistently doing, in their daily actions, what they're like, just their typical things that they do, then you're probably not gonna be real aware of a lot of changes that they're going through. Subtle things that they might be doing or changing. You might just be real not noticing that. So if you're not in tune with those things, now might be a good time to be kind of in check with those things. Whether you're happy or your partner is happy, whether you know that or not, that's just a good thing to always be in check with in your relationship. Be in check with yourself, but obviously, most importantly, be in check with your relationship. Not most importantly, but very importantly, also be in check with your partner's well-being, because if you don't know how they're feeling and kind of their daily just mojo, you're not gonna know if something's off. And that's really important. You're not gonna pick up on red flags at all. So this is something good for everyone to listen to, honestly. Be observant. Their behavior, again, their mannerisms, their actions, their moods. A lot of people's moods change like the wind, but not everyone's. Some people's moods, when they change, they're very slight. They're real mild. So you may not pick up on that right away, or they might just be, real talkative one day and then they're just a little bit more quiet. So you may not notice that right off the bat. But for some people, they might be super outgoing all the time, and then all of a sudden that they're angry, or they're not talking at all. So you'll definitely notice something's off, with that. So if their moods are off, or their conversations or lack thereof, those are all things that we should all be really aware of with our partners. Anything that's different, or things that they're doing that are different, just anything in their routine that they're really changing up. And I'm not just talking about simple things, I'm talking about major things. They used to really enjoy cooking every night, now they never cook ever. Stuff like that. Or they used to come home every night and really enjoy being around everyone. Now they never come home. They go out every night after work, or they don't come home until 9 or 10 o'clock, from work late every night. Those kinds of things. So have you noticed, are you keeping up with what your partner is doing? And I'm not saying be nosy, but be noticing those things.
Aware.
Yes, be aware. So here are some signals. These are the 18 signs. And obviously there's tons of others, but these are some of the main ones that you can really kind of red flags. So they're argumentative, quarrelsome, and confrontational. Relationships all have their little fights, their spiffs, but when it becomes a regulatory and exhausting thing, like this should be a huge red flag. Your partner, if they find every reason they can to pick a fight with you, or vice versa, and they're ready to fight back with you, that's a good sign. When you're fighting or confronting each other, arguing with each other so much that it almost feels normal, that's a pretty good indicator. It's like you're just always fighting. A lot of us know people that just fight all the time. We're like, why are they together? All they do is fight. They're always arguing. They're always like, it seems like they just hate each other, but yeah, that's a pretty good sign. You hurt each other's feelings so much, you may get to a point where it's just like it doesn't even hurt anymore. You've just become numb to it. That's a sign. They want to break. Number 2. This is serious. If that's not a sign to you or a slap in the face, the wake up call, then something's wrong with you. They're saying they want to break because they want to break. This could be your last chance. They are giving you a handout here. You need to stop what you're doing, ask for clarification, ask what you can do. And, obviously at the end of the 18, we're going to go into a little bit more what you can do to kind of maybe stop or prevent them from leaving, if there's anything you can do if it's not too late. But oftentimes when someone wants to leave, they will actually come out and say, I want to break. I think we should stop seeing each other for a while, or we should spend some time away from each other, or I'm gonna leave for a while, or whatever it may be. So number 3, they're not talking to you. They're giving you the silent treatment. They're ignoring you. Especially a lot of times they find every reason to fight with you, argue with you, confront you, nag you, and then all of a sudden they're not doing that anymore.
Sorry, with the next level. Yep.
So yeah, something's wrong. They're not intimate anymore. They're not interested. So yeah, that's okay for a while, but try to talk about it. A lot of people will just kind of shut the door on that because they don't know how to bring it up. They're nervous about it. They don't want to talk about it because it's very difficult to talk about for a lot of people, and for good reason. It's just difficult conversation, but you need to discuss it. So don't be nervous because it's extremely important.
So here's a really good one for those of us who have been married to, unfortunately, people who, I almost said women, people who have had an affair and different things. It's tough. It's tough to go through that. So think about if they're very secretive, they're finding every chance to sneak off. They leave the house once you're asleep or you're at work. They find every opportunity to jump on their phone, and they're doing everything they can to keep you from seeing the screen if you're present. They pop open their phones in the middle of the night. They sneak off to make calls. They might be smiling on their phone conversations with other people and laughing, and they don't tell you where they're going. They find out that every excuse to go without you. They slam the laptop shut when you enter the room. Those are all signs, right? I mean, unfortunately, I've been there. It's to an ex-spouse that had an affair, and I know that's definitely signs, and so those are things you need to look at, because really and truly, if you're in a relationship that's secure and trusting and things like that, then you're not gonna worry about whether they see your phone or they see your laptop or they see what's going on, And I don't know about you, but I'm dead asleep at night. The last thing I have to care about is what's going on my phone. So in the middle of the night. So that's just crazy to think that people actually live with that, and so that's something that definitely needs to be addressed. They cease to show you love. They do the half smile, say, I love you, you know. They don't even say it back at all. They do things that they don't do things for you that you want that they once did, right? So they used to, you know, hold your hand when you walked across the street. They used to do different things to that effect that showed that there was an intimacy, not sexual intimacy, but intimacy together. My favorite thing is you see the picture of the man and woman walking, and the man moves the woman over to the side, and he walks inside by the traffic because you know, he was protecting his spouse. And but you know, once that stuff is kind of gone, then you kind of know there's some signs. And then let me see what my notes are here. Maybe they were the one that always said I love you, and they don't show. They don't do it now, right? So one time, you know, they were the ones that always said I love you first. You know, there's always those types. I'm probably one of those types. I'm the gusher of words for sure a lot of times. So if I don't say something, then Chris will definitely know something's going on if I'm not pouring out my words the way I do. They don't do special things that they once did for you, right? So you know there's special things they do for you and don't do for you. And if that ceases to happen, that's another sign that maybe you might need to look into see kind of what's going on. Maybe you're oblivious to that there's problems.
Definitely. So number 7, they seem disgusted by you. We've all seen this. So we've all seen this, right? Everything you do annoys them. If you don't notice this, you might really want to start paying attention, because most people that they are the receiver of this, they don't notice it. So this isn't true in every situation, but often in teetering relationships, you know, this isn't true in every situation, but often in teetering relationships, partners ready to bounce loathe every even remotely gross habit of yours. Sometimes they don't even want to hear you breathe. They'll just watch you when you eat like they want you to die. Everything that you do is just
annoying,
disgusting, just disgusting. So watch for them watching you, because it's pretty noticeable in my opinion. So again, if you're not noticing this, you might want to be a little bit more aware of your partner's actions.
All right. So they're never home, right? They're working long hours, or attending some meetings, or spending more time with friends. Any excuse not to come home because they don't want to be around you. Hello. I mean, that's a tall tale sign right there. I'm like, I don't know about all you, but I'm like rushing to be home, because I'm like 4 minutes, I'm home from work, because that's where I want to be. I want to be with Crystal. And so if you see that that's an issue, then you know it starts out small. It might be something to nip in the bud. It gets worse. It's just going to cause more issues. They transform their look, right? They may all suddenly become interested in their body image. They never were before. They start working out, dieting, get a makeover. They get their hair did. They get cosmetics. I mean, new wardrobes. You know, understandably, this happens with men and women, period, anyway. But this is out of their norm, right? So it's not something that normally they would do. All of a sudden, it's just a big deal to them.
And you get the feeling it's not for you.
Right. You begin the feeling it's not for you. You would definitely know if it was. You know, different things like that. We all like to be manicured and manscaped and I don't know, all the different things that women do. Crystal is definitely beautiful, and she's always doing different things to help her continue to be beautiful. But yet again, it's something that's happened long before I met her, so it's not out of the norm. And so that's what you're looking for, something that's out of the norm. They're always on the defense, right? So you bring up things and they tear you down, right? Reactional teasing and playful communicating is normal. Anytime you're teasing your spouse or loved one, some of that's normal. I mean, just don't take that as a telltale sign. But if they're really cutting you down and making you feel bad, that's not good. But you can tell when your partner is not amused and takes offense. Taking everything with anger and spite is not healthy within a relationship. So you really just want to make sure that if you're hurtful with your words and your actions and it's not fun, then it's not teasing and playing. It's more serious. Avoidance, they do everything in their power to evade you. They come home late. Again, we talked about that. Often they go into bed to avoid a conversation with you. They no longer have dinner with you and enjoy unwinding and enjoy being by themselves, right? Unwinding alone. There's nothing fueling this behavior. So there's nothing fueling this behavior.
There's not, like normally there would be like a fight or something that would drive your partner to they wait till you go to bed to sit up and watch TV or do something by themselves. Right. But there's nothing like that going on. They just don't want to be around you.
Right. And then just start arguments, right? I mean, out of the middle of nowhere, just start an argument, just to argue. And what they do that for is that way you'll avoid them, right? So if they argue with you, you avoid them, and that pretty much did everything they want to do. They want to get you away from them anyway. So definitely something you want to look at in that deal, because every relationship has arguments at times and different things that happen. Hopefully you work through them. Crystal and I have had our share of a few little arguments, and we work through them, and that's something that happens in a relationship, but it gets to the point where it's the whole point of the argument is to get them away from you, period. That's not good.
So number 14.
I think we're number 13.
We are at number 13.
13. Lucky 13.
This is only 17. I messed up. There are only 17. Just kidding.
We can add one. I'll think of something.
They're making financial arrangements. So this is a big red flag. They're transferring money into separate accounts. They may even be dishonest with you about money. They're making major purchases. They may even be on the side, buying a house, renting another house. These are things you may or may not even know about. Paying off their vehicle, different things like this that happen all the time. People that are getting ready to close out a relationship. These are all things that they may be doing because they are preparing to make their move, which is leaving you. So those are pretty big indicators that they're on their way out.
They're ready to move, make their leave. That's kind of funny because you think about that as I don't know how some people, everybody deals with financial things different. I'm sorry, I got to add to this. And,
yeah.
I don't know, guys, how you deal with it or not. Pretty much, I just give all her all the money, and I just ask to use it.
It's not that easy, trust me.
So the thing about it is, you got to think also, are they already cheating, right? If you don't know the signs, learn them. Check out some books from the library, or buy some of them on Amazon. Do some research. It's not difficult to find out honestly. Does not necessarily mean your relationship is over. There still may be hope, but, and again, going back to my previous marriage, with unfortunately somebody who was not faithful, you'll tell the signs. And I was a cop, so I was already investigating everything, and I'm really bad about that anyway, period. And you got to think about, there's signs. Everything you do, there's signs about why stuff happens. And unfortunately, you got to think about it. Sometimes people cheat and do stuff because they're not happy, right? You didn't make them happy, or they're not happy with the situation. So it all stems from multiple problems before it usually gets to the cheating stage. And when it gets to that point, it's really, really, really tough to come back from that point once that starts, because you've already a lot of these boundaries we talked about, and here in the 17, 18 steps, you've already passed a lot of those by the time it comes to cheating, just in my opinion. And
yeah, and there's a reason a lot of these things are at the end of our list here.
Do they get deeper?
They get deeper and more
Right.
serious,
Right.
Because they're closer to the end.
Right.
And
And
so
it's really tougher to come back from them. And not
Right.
saying you can't.
yeah,
I mean, there's always miracles. There's always, love conquers all if it's still there. But it's definitely going to be a lot of work.
yes, definitely. Number 16, they're always daydreaming. It seems like their mind is always somewhere else, because it is. They're not there anymore. Their mind is gone. They want to be somewhere else because they don't want to be where they are. So if it seems like they're not with you, they're not with you. They're always lost somewhere in space. They're not present in the conversation. Something to look for. Number 17, technically number 16, they're speaking in quotes or cliches. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take. Or never apologize for being someone else. Have y'all ever heard someone just always talk in quotes or cliches?
That's funny.
But some people do that, when they're about to leave.
I know a guy does that. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't say that I haven't spat out one or two of those when I was getting ready to leave. Because you always want to just be like, hey, buddy, I told you so. Don't say I didn't tell you. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just kind of like one of those things. You don't say I didn't tell you so.
That's funny.
And the last one we have here, they're not talking about the future and or making any plans with you. That's a pretty large hint that they're not involving you in
Right.
any part of their future business.
Yeah,
or
I
relations.
definitely believe that's a big sign, because I think that a lot of times people who are happy together are always talking about the future and what they're going to do. And even I even told Crystal today, I was like, I'm just ready to run away. Let's just run away, me and you. Let's just run away. Because it's we love to move and see the world and do things like that, and that's our future. Is what we talk about. And I think if we stop talking about that, and then that would be a sign for sure.
I think this is a really subtle one too, because this is not something that I feel like most people would think about, because that's not something that you do every day. It's certainly not something that you would think about every day. We don't think that we talk about our plans every day, but I mean, Jack and I do, but
Sometimes tons.
I don't think about the fact that we talk about that every day.
Right.
But if we didn't talk about it every day, if a week went by, I would notice that.
Right.
But I'm not sure that most people would. it would take me a minute to realize. So I feel like that's definitely like a more subtle sign. And a lot of these probably are, like the financial arrangements. I feel like that would take people probably a little bit longer.
It depends upon your budget too.
Yeah.
If you're not
well
equipped with a banking account like that.
True. And if your accounts were together and you were separating them, definitely. Also, I'm trying to think of what other things would be more. There's a few of them in here that are definitely more.
But let's put it this way: if you have any of these signs, it's always something to look into. It may not be what it is. It may be just a lull in your relationship, and if that is a lull in your relationship, then that's still something you need to get with a coaching on, get some help, talk, get a glass of wine, sit down. But remember, what can you do?
Yes.
What can you do? You remember the thing with the guy with the shirt? It says, stay calm, right?
Right.
So, first of all, stay calm.
Yes. And what we're really hoping is that we can really reach some people with this and help some people with this, because this is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. And I think that not a lot of people reach out for help with this because
They give up.
they don't realize that it's an issue. First of all, I think for a lot of people, I think they don't even realize there's a problem. And so that's the number one. Number two, I think that a lot of people don't reach out for help because they think of counseling or therapy as being kind of a very invading situation. Coaching is a very much less invading, which obviously we could talk about. But I mean, that's something that we're really hoping to reach people on a deeper level with, is to know that you don't have to stay in the dark on this, and to know that there are resources and there's hope available. To not just let it wither away. Don't let your relationship just wither away and let it go. I mean, I feel like, and based on research, more than half the time, your partner is waiting for you to redeem yourself. They are waiting for you to make the relationship right. And you only have a window of time to do that. And your window of time only runs for so long before the clock runs out. And so if you don't do these things and work with your partner, they're gone, man. So, you know, the train to life goes on with or without you, and they're gonna go on with their life because they don't want to be unhappy. So do yourself a favor and figure out what you can do to be a better partner for your partner.
So what can you do?
So what can you do?
What can you do?
There's several things you can do. So we talked about being calm. Realize this is happening, and be prepared to react optimistically and with a calm composure. Have a plan. Don't panic. Don't get mad. A lot of people react in a hostile way. They get mad at their partner for wanting to leave, instead of trying to understand from their perspective, like what's really happening in the relationship. Or they immediately blame them for wanting to leave, and they start to think, what have I done wrong? What's wrong with me? Instead of trying to break down the situation and solve the issue. So be more optimistic. Revisit your actions. See if you can come up with anything on your own, that may push your partner to this point. They may have some issues going on in their life too, and they probably do. it's never, just one person's issue. It's always, a little bit on both sides at least. But get a pen and paper out and write some things down. Write some of your own issues down, some things that you've noticed, so that when you do have a conversation with your partner, hopefully they're open to that you can bring some of these things up that you already know are some of your issues. Believe me, they'll be floored that you've done that already, that you've already done that homework. Follow the 50-50 rule. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically saying that you're accepting at least half the blame. So, like I said before, no one's innocent in, a relationship or breakup, in an argument, in, a disagreement. So take half the blame, admitting you're at fault. Be prepared to do that. Don't be completely innocent to the situation. Be open to hear your partner's reasoning for wanting to leave. It's really important that you come to terms with all of these things and mentally prepare yourself for all of this conversation to happen before it happens. Because if you go into this not prepared, it could really end up disastrous. Boundaries. Understand that your partner may need some time in this process to heal, so make sure that you give them the space that they need for that. They might need to go spend a couple of weeks at their mom's or their friends, and that's really hard to do sometimes, because it kind of feels like you're letting them go, and that can be really painful and upsetting, especially if you've got kids or you've been together a really long time. But you've just got to trust that hopefully it'll work out. It may not, but they need to see that you're giving them that space, and they're going to really respect you for that. And you need to tell them, like, hey, I'm giving you this space because I love you and I can see that you need this space. So that's really, really important. They may not know what they want yet. So they may be waiting for you to do a complete 180. So this may be your chance. So you've really got to pull yourself together here. So they may not have made up their mind. It may be too late, but don't assume.
All right, so number 6, invite them to dinner. Show them that you see where they are, and you want to make every effort to save the relationship. Start the conversation with a friendly invitation to ask them what you could do better to help the relationship. Listen to them. Let them do the talking, right? Be an active listener. I'm kind of just scooting into from number 6 into number 7 because it kind of fits together. This means be present when someone is speaking. Actually listen to them. You hear that all the time. Are you listening to me? Do you actually hear me? Do you hear the answers, right? Or do they answer? You're genuinely interested in what's going to be said, what's on their mind without interrupting them. You're feeling what you're saying, that they have value. You're using eye contact, etc. Say sentences like, I hear you, I understand what you're saying. Apologize for things that you've done, and be soothing to them. Hopefully you mean it. All nonverbal cues are extremely important. But again, that's where we talked about sitting down with that glass of wine sometimes and just really hashing out some things and talking about them. Communication goes a long ways, right? Understand that you may be outgrowing each other. Not necessarily mean that the relationship is going to end, but may need some extreme coaching or resources. This often means one partner has advanced more in their career or in their maturity and than the other one did. So when the other partner then feels kind of left behind. and then they're kind of resentful, right? That they're not to that same stage level that their partner's at, and so you got to be understanding in that part. Number 9, strive for better communication. If you're not sure how to do this, obviously, coaching can help, and tons of self-help books and research can do that. The single thing you can do is start conversations without blaming your partner and using the I statements, right? So there's a lot of things that I want to kind of add to this one a little bit. Coaching, right? Coaching may be somebody like Crystal, who's a life coach, relationship coach. It may be at the time back when I needed it. It was a Lutheran pastor who coached me in his own way, and without him to talk to a lot of times, I felt like maybe I wouldn't be the person I am today. I'm not a real religious person, but he talked to me more like a person. And sometimes you need that person that's not part of your relationship to talk to and to spill things out and kind of get a secondhand opinion. Number 10, be present, caring, empathetic. Remember, your partner is also going through this with you, and it's just as difficult, if not more, for them. So be happy, caring, and remember the reasons you both fell in love. Learn to forgive, right? You fell in love for a reason, and you got married, or you're together, in your way for a reason, and you fell in love. So that love, love just doesn't always just die for no reason. Things made it die. Something killed it. And so figure out what that was and sit down and talk about it, because you hate to lose something like a great love that was there, right? So try to learn that, and then just learn to forgive, right? That's the hardest thing I think some people do, is they can't forgive, saying, you know what, we're human, we made mistakes. I forgive you, and another person, I forgive you, and you have to learn to, unfortunately you'll never forget, and nobody ever forgets, but you forgive, you love, and you move on, and hopefully things will be fantastic. Be present, caring. Oh, I already talked about that. But again, going back to Crystal, again with the wings and relationships. Suggest coaching to your partner, right? Or counseling if it seems beyond a coach's help. We're not saying that, coaches, for life coaches, relationship coaches, are always the best for everybody. That's why we do that 15-minute consultation and talk about, what's going on, because coaching may be right for you. At the same time, it may not, and that's okay. We'd love to help you get to the right person. No matter what relationship you look at, none of them are perfect, right? They all have some issues, and they all have things that they have to work through. And like we talked about in other podcasts, and we said it many times, even in the fun podcast, relationship is work, right? And but if you love somebody and you care about them, you want to work to have that happiness with them. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else in my past relationships of not being the person I should have been. And maybe, that's the way it was, but I make sure the best of my ability now that I am the best I can be. And when I'm not, hopefully, Crystal does a good job of shouting me out, saying, hey, you're being stupid, right? and you learn from that and move on. But that's part of the communication. That's part of the sitting down, having a glass of naked wine, and just in really talking it out. All conversations are not easy. I'll be the first to tell you that whether it's talking to your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend or any relationship, it may be your parents, it may be relatives, that you haven't talked to in a while, that have issues. I know we're getting off the track of, unfaithfulness and all this stuff that we talked about, but I think it's really big. It's communication is key, right? And so hopefully you understand that we would love to help you if you have communication problems, because sometimes it may take somebody listening to you, and that's what we do, listen to you and give you, good advice on how to overcome some things, right? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yes.
She's an expert. I'm just yakking. So basically that's the 17, 18, 15, 17, 18 reasons why what was the topic again?
Signs that your partner might want to leave.
Right.
And that's what we wanted to kind of get across. And we would love for all of our podcasts to be fun and funny, but that's just not how it is it?
Yeah, some relationships are fun, funny, and
sometimes relationships
but you have to be serious too.
Are very serious, and so we're trying to reach all aspects of everything in relationships within the realm of everything, and because that's just how life is. And if we were not practicing what we preached, then we wouldn't be very good coaches, would we? So we want to reach everyone, and we want to help everyone, and that's what our mission is all about, is helping people to form better bonds and better relationships. And so we'd really like for you to reach out to us if you have any questions. That's really kind of what our podcast is here for. We're here to answer your questions, and we would love for you to send us your ideas for any topics you'd like to hear us talk about, or questions you'd like us to answer on our podcasts. We do anything from serious to funny to
Crystal,
steamy. Did you see?
Crystal, CRYSTAL at wingsandrelationships.com, or Jack at wingsandrelationships.com. Give us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Again, we would definitely appreciate if you went to anchor.fm/wingsandrelationships.com, not .com, just Wings Relationships, and sponsor us for 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, $9.99 a month, and to help us get some better equipment so we can work on getting a better podcast out to you. Something we enjoy doing. It's something I know that I told Crystal today, I was excited to come home and work to work on our podcast. But we appreciate your time. We appreciate you listening. Again, thank those people from overseas who listen, and all the people who just listen to every podcast we have. Again, we thank you, and we're going to head to bed because it's getting late here. So thank you for watching, and we appreciate you very much. Have a great night.